A Matter of Life and Death is Iron Maiden's 14th studio album and is, in my opinion, the best one they do in the 21st century. Now, after Dance of Death, which was a little bit weak in parts, but was still pretty good, I wasn't expecting this album to be as good as it was when I first listened to it. But this album is absolutely excellent. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like the X Factor with Bruce, stylistically. It's a lot darker than previous albums. It's a lot more complex, and just the arrangements and the writing feel like the band spent more time on it. And this is quite a complex and progressive album, which is definitely in stark contrast to Brave New World, which was, I would say, a lot safer of an album. Even though I love Brave New World, it was pretty safe and didn't really do anything that was a little bit different, whereas this album, I think, is absolutely amazing, and a lot of variation, a lot of different tempos, a lot of different high notes and low notes, and a lot of just really interesting music. That's what I like. I like music that makes you think. Now, lyrically, this album is quite close to a concept album. It's not a concept album, though, but a common theme is war and religion, and is really quite introspective and just amazing lyrics, really thought-provoking lyrics. So it's really good. The production is absolutely amazing. Done by Kevin Shirley. It's probably the best production Iron Maiden has had in the 21st century, in my opinion. The drums sound so crisp and so clean. The guitars just sound beautiful. All the great melodies and the riffs just sound amazing. The bass is also really good. Bruce's vocals are really starting to show their age at this point. But it's really not that big of a deal. It doesn't help that he sings quite high a lot of the times, but I don't consider it that big of a deal just because the music is so amazing. Let's talk about the artwork. The artwork is fantastic. I love the artwork. It's really quite dark. There's not a lot of bright colors there, which is really quite significant. Not significant. Tells you how the album's going to be like. It's a very dark album. It's not very colorful. But what the album definitely is very, very powerful and very consistent in not only the writing, but it stylistically is very, very power-driven. Kind of like the X Factor, although the X Factor is a little bit quieter and a little bit more dim. This is more loud and in your face, but still has that kind of darkness, themes of war and stuff. So yeah, the artwork's great. And in contrast to Dance of Death, which I think was at points not very focused and not very inspired, this is extremely focused and feels extremely inspired. The writing is absolutely the best writing that they've done in the 21st century. There are just these great riffs, great melodies that can be extremely haunting and extremely powerful, but they can also do some lighter, more fluffier stuff. Even though there's not a lot of stuff on this album, there is some at points. This album also is the longest album Iron Maiden has done up to this point. Although it's not really that bad because I like the music so much, it doesn't really matter that they play choruses a lot. And plus, this album isn't a particularly chorus-driven album anyway. So the repetitiveness is not too bad, even though it is a bit of a problem. It's a little hard to sit through, but if you can find a good space of time, it's really a really good album to just sit and listen to. So yeah, let's just move into the track by track. Now, this opens with Different World, which was the single for this album, along with Reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg. And this song's just absolutely amazing, has a great riff, and it's just a really fast and heavy opener. I really like it. Probably when I first heard it, I really liked it, but when I heard the other songs are quite strong, making this seem a little bit weaker, but it's still a good track. And then we move to These Colors Don't Run, which is the first of many just absolutely brilliant songs. It has a great solo in there, and it's extremely epic. And this is another thing with the album. It's extremely epic in the way that the X Factor is epic, which is not in the way the 80s was epic. This is epic, and it's just really powerful choruses, really powerful vocal performances, and feels very grand and vast. But yeah, the vocal harmonies are amazing. and it's just such an amazing song. These Colors Don't Run. It's not too long. It's I think a little bit under 7 minutes long. So yeah, just absolutely excellent track. And then we move on to Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, which is my favorite song on this album. Now this song is about the Manhattan Project, about nuclear warfare, and this has probably one of my favorite intros. A common thing that happens on almost all the songs on this album is they'll have an intro that's really soft, and Bruce is singing really low and really quiet, and then there's just this explosion of energy when they go into the first chorus. But this intro in particular, I just love so much. And Bruce's vocal performance is amazing. He'll go so high and so powerful, but then tone it back down in a matter of seconds, and it just shows you how great of a vocalist Bruce Dickinson is. But yeah, it's just a great explosion of energy when it goes into the first chorus. And it's got this really heavy riff. And this is what I love about Iron Maiden. They play this riff so heavy and very thrashy riff, but then they'll also play a same version of the riff that's really melodic and really high, and it just shows off the beautiful guitar work that they can play a thrashy riff and then play a higher sort of melodic riff. And they both work great with each other when they alternate between the thrashy one and the more melodic one. But yeah, I just love the way this song builds up, and you know, great choruses. It's a little bit too long, but I still is an amazing song. One of my favorite songs from Iron Maiden in the 21st century in general. Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, just amazing. And then we move on to The Pilgrim. Now this is also another personal favorite of mine. And this is one of the few shorter, very straight to the point kind of songs. And this is just absolutely amazing, just catchy as hell, really, really catchy. And it's got a great intro too. I really like that drum intro that Nico does. It's really short, but it's really short and sweet. I really like it. And then it just comes in with this beautiful melodic riff that's just absolutely amazing. And yeah, just love it. Just straight into the point with some fast, heavy Iron Maiden, and I love it. And then the fifth track is The Longest Day, and this is about the D-Day landings, obviously. Quite important day in World War II and war in general. And this is a little bit weaker, but I still do like this track. I like all the tracks in this album, but this is a little bit weaker. The bass intro I really like, and it's still a pretty good track, and has a good solo and a good guitar line before it goes into the solo. I like when they have a good guitar line and then it just builds up into a great solo. That's just really, I think they do quite a lot on this album, and I really like that. And then we move on to Out of the Shadows. Now this is also a little bit weaker, but it's still a good song, and it has the really soft intro that I really like, but it does have a really powerful chorus, which I do quite like. And then we move on to Reincarnation of Benjamin Brigg, and the riff. I mean, the riff's amazing. You just gotta listen to the riff, man. The riff is amazing, also has a great solo, and just a great groove. And this is over 7 minutes long, but it feels quite short. It feels quite fast and heavy, and I just really love this track. This is another kind of more straight to the point, and yeah, I just really like the song. Really catchy, really great song. Then we move on to For the Greater Good of God, and this is the epic on the album, and this is just amazing. This song, I think, is maybe a little bit overrated. A lot of people will cite this as their favorite song on this album, even though I think Brighter Than a Thousand Suns is better. But For the Greater God is still an amazing song, and after the really great intro, you know, they go into this great melodic line, and this song has great guitar solos. Even though I think the chorus is a little bit weak, the chorus just isn't quite as captivating as some chorus, even though it's extremely epic. And it's got this really dark, haunting riff that I like. This album is full of really melodic high riffs and really dark, haunting riffs. You know, it's full of both of them. I just love it. Then we move on to Lord of Light. Now, Lord of Light is a little bit of a weaker song, but it's still actually a really good song. And, you know, after the intro, you got a really thrashy riff, which I really love, and a bit of a weaker chorus, but it's still a pretty good chorus. And it's just got this great thrashy groove that I just love so much. And then towards the end, Nico does this drumming thing that almost sounds like a machine gun. He's just pounding, which shows that Nico's still a great drummer, even though he's definitely aging at this point. And yeah, just a great song, load of light, good song. Then we move on to the last song, which is The Legacy, and this is also an extremely long song. And I honestly don't think it's that good. A lot of people will say it's like the worst track, and some people say it's the best track. I think it's okay. It definitely has that acoustic flavoring at the beginning, which goes on for a little bit too long. And it has a really, really powerful riffs, and it's just full of great riffs all over the place. But the chorus isn't that captivating, and some of the lyrics I feel aren't that inspired. But still, it's a great song, probably goes on for a little bit too long, but it's a good way to end the album. Now, in conclusion, A Matter of Life and Death is an unbelievable album for Iron Maiden. At this point in their career, they're over 31 years old, and they're still willing to do things that aren't safe. As I've mentioned, Brave New World was amazing, but it's more of a safe album. It's more of in their comfort zone. Whereas this album is just so stylistically complex and progressive that if they weren't writing good music, but they chose to write in this style, it would have been terrible. But thankfully, they were writing amazing music at this time. And that's the thing, you gotta combine the really dark, haunting style of music about war and stuff like that with amazing writing. You get things like The X Factor and A Matter of Life and Death. So yeah, it's definitely the best album, in my opinion, of the 21st century. It's just so epic. You feel like when you start this album, you'd go on like an epic adventure. And it's just so great. I love the album. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Later.